Hey ladies and gentlemen, this is Tough Tony here, and I'm doing this video because it was requested to me recently by Bishop CR7. He wanted to know what I really thought about The Rock, not just him returning, but his whole career overall. And I guess I'll give it to you right now. The Rock, now everyone knows I'm one of those people who have sat down and watched pro wrestling, sports entertainment through every single major era that has ever happened. And I follow a lot of wrestlers' careers. Like I follow Benoit in Japan when he was Wild Pegasus and Pegasus Kid and Kid Pegasus. I've watched Eddie Guerrero as Black Tiger. I watched Dean Malenko. I follow a lot of careers, and I followed The Rock's career. I remember his first humble beginnings in the USWF, which was an old wrestling promotion that Jerry the King Lawler had, the United States Wrestling Federation, when he was known as Flex Curvana. Probably one of the worst names ever. And The Rock has been synonymous with sports entertainment. I'm talking, whenever people sit down and talk about wrestling or talk about when they ever stopped watching wrestling, is always, I stopped wrestling when Austin left, or I stopped watching when Austin left, I stopped watching when The Rock left. Always. It has been my fortune, and most of the times misfortune, to have watched the product before them, or before him, and watched the product after him. But The Rock comes from a time where the wrestlers pretty much had more free reign to do what they wanted. They didn't have a bunch of scripted promos. They didn't have boring matches versus the same people over and over again. Sure, The Rock wrestled Triple H numerous times in a 4-month span, but each match was different, and each match was tolerable and interesting. And what gets me, how a lot of people really consider the Cena to be the second coming of The Rock because of their in-ring style. You know, they're both really brawlers, but the thing is, you don't get bored during a Rock match. Because The Rock does his spots just like Cena does, just like every wrestler does, but he has the innate ability to really, is storytelling. The Rock tells a better story than Cena. I don't know if it's just the caliber of people Cena wrestles, or it's the fact that over the last couple of years Cena has been dumbed down and watered down so much that his in-ring product is really suffering. Speaking of how in Survivor Series, The Rock's last match was at WrestleMania 20 in Madison Square Garden. And John Cena's first major championship and first appearance at a WrestleMania was at WrestleMania 20 in Madison Square Garden. So that's kind of, you know, an omen maybe. But you figure The Rock came to the WWF as Rocky Johnson. He had those fucking blue tassels on his uniform, on his in-ring gear, ring attire. Looked like this pretty boy that wasn't going to draw any fucking money. You know, he came in, his father wrestled, his grandfather wrestled. Grandfather by marriage, by the way. But this guy, for all that he did, put on a good show. The people started to boo him. Then they put The Rock with the Nation of Domination, and he started cutting the greatest promos against the fans I have ever seen by many superstars. The Die Rocky Dies, he comes out there, which I think was a very good promo when he comes out there and says, I sacrifice myself, give you my blood, my sweat, my tears, and y'all boo me. Is that what I'm thanked for? That's what y'all thank me for? For me doing this and putting on this show? For you pieces of crap? I always liked that promo. Then when he finally won the belt after Survivor Series 98, I believe, and he was talking shit, I love that one too. I still remember the Die Rocky Die. But the thing about The Rock, unlike most superstars, The Rock never had to rake the shit. Meaning, he did something, it wasn't working, so they gave him something better, and he just took off. He's in a rare situation where they actually let the guy be himself. Now, I have respect for The Rock. Because he's one of those guys that you always talk about. When you're talking about greatest champions or greatest superstars, The Rock is always near the top of that list. I wouldn't say it for Triple H. Because, you know, if you're not talking about WWE shit, you're never going to say anything about Triple H. I'll give Triple H his credit because after those two guys left, he kind of took the ball and ran with it. Too bad he ran it into the fucking ground because of his inability to draw on his own merit. He always got to wrestle the guy who draws the most money or the guy who's just hot at the time. You know, he's always done that. And everybody who's ever worked with Triple H outside of Shawn Michaels and, you know, his other band of ass kissers, they all say the same thing. He was a good supporting cast member. It wasn't until recently he started drawing money on his own. After he, you know, when he came back and, you know, wrestled and beat Orton for the title and wrestled 3 times that night, that's when he really started to take off as an individual outside all that DX bullshit. But Triple H, but The Rock, he's always been that guy who cuts the great promo. He got the look, he's got the talent, he's got the charisma, but he just never really had that long of a career. From 1997 all the way to 2002, he didn't have that long of a career. He had a very, very short career, but he accomplished so very, very much. Now, one thing that I must say that really, he had a pretty good career compared to most. He's always going to be that top guy. But it's just the way they make people prostitute themselves to The Rock. Like, you figure the whole alliance thing. The Rock disappeared. Then he comes back and you have him Booker T jobbing. You know, Booker T is probably, if I was going to pick, sorry, I'm eating some candy this morning. These Halloween, you know, those little Halloween shoes that they have. You know, you can get them at Walmart. It's a big bag of them. Probably costs like $2, probably less. But anyway, The Rock comes and just Booker T is, like I said, one of my favorite African American wrestlers. I don't count The Rock as black. I said it before. He's, the back, like I said before in my last video, the back of my phone is more black than The Rock. He got so much damn DNA and RNA and ethnicities mixed in him. But that's one thing he did wrong with the Alliance. He got all these extra people and all these extra titles. Y'all could have promoted the guys that never really got that push, and you could have put the WCW title on them, like your Chris Jerichos and your Benoit or your Edges. You know, guys who was really making a name for themselves. Well, he did eventually, but he didn't. Jericho didn't beat no WCW star. But The Rock is the epitome of WWE's desperateness to get money and pay-per-view buys, because the talent that the WWE has, it couldn't sell out the same house 3 times in a row if their lives fucking depended on it. The commentary totally bashes and dilutes the mid-card, so they are totally fucking meaningless. They hype up these horrible fucking main events. But instead of paying The Rock all this money, why don't you just promote your other talent? Promote your mid-card. Promote your undercard. And then you put them in the ring with The Truth and Miz. Miz already made it to that higher ground. And then they fucking squashed them. Just like they do everybody else. What makes it so bad is that nobody's going to get made from this. You have Truth and The Miz. You know this is going to be a fucking slaughter. They're going to look good, but come on. It's Cena and The Rock. This match is going to be a fucking slaughter fest. Miz and R-Truth, man, they might as well just lay down and die. Because, they're going to get booed. It's going to become secondary. And I would consider Miz to be a major star. R-Truth is up. He's not up there yet, but he could be getting there if they ever fucking promote him correctly. But it's such a shame like Cena that much. But he busts his ass every single week. He's the hardest working wrestler, I think, anywhere. Sure, he may not have the fan base that he once has, and a lot of people hate him, but he still shows up to work on time. He never leaves you high and dry. He doesn't do all that other bullshit that the other people do. And he has no bad habits. You have The Miz, who busted his ass, got through the glass ceiling, paid his dues, so now they demoted him to mid-card. You got R-Truth, who can't be promoted because he's black. I'm saying the guy has charisma, the guy has talented, but if R-Truth looked like Sheamus, I'm not saying that white or that pale, but if he looked like Cena or The Miz, R-Truth would be a 4-time world champion by now. That's just how the WWE is. It's such a shame. How they can never promote, how the WWE has never ever really promoted a full African American guy as world champion. They've never made any of them a franchise player. Us African Americans, we're born with talent. White people, not to say all white people, but most Caucasian people have to train or practice and do all that shit to have that talent. We're born with it. Especially these fucking pale ass wrestlers that they have in it. As far as wrestling is considered, you know. But I mean, I'm sorry if that sounded a little racist, but I'm just basically just saying what I feel. I'm sorry if I offended anybody. But I'm not on YouTube to be a face. I'm on YouTube to be a heel. So anyway, it makes it so bad that you have these 3 stars in the WWE. All the stars. And they just get second run-in to The Rock. The Rock comes out there. It's just funny because The Rock is so much of a star that he can even outstage John Cena, who's the biggest star that company's ever had in the last 6 years. He's the last real franchise guy. And it's such a shame that all these people had to take a back step to The Rock. You could as easily take a guy like Cody Rhodes and make him into a franchise star. But WWE is wary of that because every time they do it, they get hit with some substance abuse, and then they, besmirch the company more so than, the other shit they already do themselves to besmirch the company. Tell people to get big, then they commit suicide because you're going to be in the same place in your career. You're in your career is going nowhere, just like you do in most jobs these days. The fucking insider trading that they do to keep themselves billionaires. The fucking stock market scandals that they have to keep themselves billionaires. How everybody in the fucking WWE office is a fucking millionaire or billionaire. We already know the fall to Raw and the fall season, and just the fucking overall white collar criminal tactics that most of these fucking billionaires do. Donald Trump does it. Bush does it. Hell, I think even the fucking president, every fucking Congress person does it. How the fuck you think they get rich? How the fuck you think they stay rich? Fucking Bill Gates does that shit. But anyway, that's just my biggest gripe right now. How he was the top guy in his time. Like The Undertaker, like Austin, like Triple H, they will always have that pop. No matter what time. The Rock could come back 10 years from now, and it'll still have the same reception. You could have put Austin in there, but Austin can't wrestle anymore. Shawn Michaels to get the same type of reception. But I don't know as much Hulk Hogan in the WWE. I think WWE fans will boo the shit out of him. But I just hate that. How it's like a slap in the face to your talent. They may not say anything because of threat of losing their jobs, but come on. You don't promote me. I bust my ass. I get my body broken for you. But yet, you get this guy to come back just because y'all want some more buys and some more figures. I tell you one thing. You put Daniel Bryan in there. Now, if anyone who ever followed Daniel Bryan in the independents, you know the type of man I'm talking about. You could put him in the ring with Cena at WrestleMania, and it would draw just as much or more than John Cena versus The Rock. You figure what? You're just going to have a bunch of those sometimey wrestling fans that I hate so much that only going to watch when DX is doing chops on their crotch, or if someone makes Or when someone who you haven't seen for a long time comes back for one night, then all of a sudden your ass turns your TV to fucking Monday Night Raw and you haven't looked at any of the fucking show in the last 10 years. I hate those. I already did bandwagon Eagles fans, but I hate fucking wrestling fans like that. You should, if you're such a wrestling fan, you should support it through the good and the bad. I'm fucking pissed at the product, but I still watch. Even though I had to take a warm shower to wash the shame off me afterwards, but I still watch. And the fact of the matter is that you would spend $60 plus on WrestleMania. And especially when you haven't watched the product in the last couple years, you're wasting your fucking money. I'm sure as hell not going to spend that kind of money just for one match. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do it. The same people did that shit with Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. Yeah. Look at what that happened. Look at what happened with that shit. The same thing for Goldberg and The Rock. Look what happened with that shit. So, in closing, I'll say this. The Rock had an awesome career. He's going to go down in history as one of the greats of all time. And it's probably about 10 wrestlers that can make that claim. But him, he had, like I said, he had an awesome career. He had an awesome career. But he was from a different time, a different era, when WWE actually had some competition and they actually put on better shows. WWE has no real competition. I wish the Ring of Honor can get some of the XT and some of the TNA talent that's been misused, like Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, get Daniels back, and all those other people that they're misusing, so they can, you know, get to the big time. Because as long as WWE doesn't have that competition, they're never going to get better. You're just going to get the same fucking bullshit that you've been getting the last 7 years. And one of these days, we're just going to get tired of it. That's why the pay-per-views are grossing 70% less than what they normally would. I'm pretty sure the Survivor Series and the ignorance of wrestling fans. If you're one of those people, I don't even care if you see the stream illegally. You at least watched all the other pay-per-views before then. But I'm pretty sure this is probably going to get the biggest buy rate of the year. It's probably going to be an average pay-per-view because the undercard is going to get so fucking trashed by commentary and so fucking trashed by their fans and so fucking... And you know, everybody's going to put on lackluster performances because Lord knows we can't have a 5-star match on there. Everything's going to be either 2-star or average. I fucking guarantee it. But then as soon as The Rock comes out, you know, I'm just... You know what I mean. And it fucking infuriates me. I hope this was as good for you as it was for me. Because I love making videos like this. And one of these days, everyone is going to... I'm going to get that fan base that I need. I'm going to get those subscribers. I'm going to get those... I'm not even asking for 40, 50,000 video views. I'd be happy if I get 5,000 and 6,000. And about 400 or 500 subscribers. I don't need to be a YouTube whore. And I'm never going to be a YouTube whore. But I tell you this, soon everyone will be smelling what Tough Tony is cooking. And right now, Tough Tony's going to go cook some bacon. It's breakfast time, and I'm starving. So I'll see you all next time.